New Jersey is called the Crossroads of the Revolution. What if I told you one of those crossroads began here? That hungry armies came to blows in Camden, New Jersey. For over 2 centuries, I've watched the changing tides. From humble beginnings to a city invincible. I am the Benjamin Cooper House. Block 1, Lot 1. The city began at my feet. Long before Camden came to be, this area was known as Cooper's Ferry. What if I told you the revolution crossed my threshold? Under my roof, the past resides forever. In the shadow of the cradle of liberty, I heard a declaration of freedom that all men are created equal. In my life, I've seen tortured souls in shackles rise to the highest office of the land.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
I was witness to the spark of rebellion in southern New Jersey, the struggle for equality, and the rise of a nation.
We've forgotten a lot about the war for independence. Places like the Benjamin Cooper House are vital reminders to us of what took place during the American War for Independence. By preserving them, by sustaining them, we preserve and sustain our own history and our own story as Americans.
I will be revitalized as part of a regional trail and as the future American Revolution Museum of Southern New Jersey. One of the earliest people to live in what is now Camden were from the Lenape tribe. By 1681, immigrant William Cooper arrived and named the area Pine Point. As the Cooper family multiplied, they went on to operate several ferries across the Delaware into Philadelphia. Pine Point became known as Cooper's Ferry. Not far from here, my stone was pulled from the ground. I am of this place. I am from this earth. In 1734, I was built for Benjamin and Hannah Cooper. By 1777, British forces had occupied the rebel capital of Philadelphia. At this time, Farmer Joseph Cooper had inherited the property from his father Benjamin. Joseph's brother Samuel kept his right eye, a small spyglass, trained toward Philadelphia. Samuel Cooper wrote several letters detailing events around Cooper's Ferry and Philadelphia during the war. Both brothers supported American independence and were pacifist Quakers. Samuel lived nearby at the ferry crossing once located at modern Cooper Point Park. The Cooper brothers would be witnesses to momentous events in South Jersey's history. In September of 1777, I had my initiation to war. British cannon opened fire at a rebel ship. A wayward British shot shattered my roof. My troubles only grew from there. In October of 1777, Hessian mercenaries marched through Cooper's Ferry towards the rebel-controlled Fort Mercer in modern West Deptford, New Jersey. They shortly skirmished with militiamen near the Federal Street Bridge. and then marched through Haddonfield, Barrington, Runnymede, and Deptford to Fort Mercer. Some of the fort's defenders were African American soldiers. African Americans served in both the British and American militaries during the war. Defeated, the Hessians marched back through Cooper's Ferry and crossed the Delaware. In 1777, British General Howe prepared to winter in Philadelphia, while General Washington's men found refuge at Valley Forge. Both the Continental and British armies collected supplies from local civilians in an action they called foraging. At Cooper's Ferry, Samuel Cooper recorded his thoughts on foraging.
I have several droll jokes to tell you about some of our old acquaintances going out a-foraging, as they call it, but it is what an honest man calls plundering. Samuel Cooper, December 27th, 1777.
By February of 1778, the supply system for the Continental Army had completely collapsed. Soldiers were not getting fed well. Some of them were on the verge of starvation. Washington wrote that this was the fatal crisis.
Brigadier General Anthony Wayne was sent on a foraging expedition into southern New Jersey to collect food and supplies from local farmers.
His orders included that he should collect all the cattle, all the swine, all the horses, all the sheep, everything that was of use for the Army. Shortly after landing in Salem, New Jersey, Wayne's foragers began visiting local farmers and local property owners. This really was a frightening moment for the people of New Jersey. Most people had never seen a gathering of soldiers this large.
Wayne's movement into South Jersey caught British General William Howe's attention.
Once Wayne crossed the Delaware River, Howe saw an opportunity to strike at Wayne.
From Cooper's Ferry, Samuel Cooper observed the British Army in Philadelphia prepare to pursue General Wayne.
February 24th, 1778. I saw 20 flat-bottom boats hauled off onto the dock, which I'm sure is for an expedition into Jersey. But what part is uncertain.
Samuel Cooper, when he witnessed the British Army moving downriver, saw a tremendous display of British military might. It must have been something terrible to behold.
To the south, British Colonel Abercrombie and the light infantry pursued Wayne.
They moved so quickly that they almost caught Wayne at Swede's Church, but he got out in just the nick of time.
Wayne and his men marched towards Haddonfield.
To the north, Colonel Thomas Sterling, who had 2 battalions of the 42nd Foot, Queen's American Rangers as well, landed at Cooper's Ferry. Now Wayne seemed to be trapped by soldiers that outnumbered him upwards of 8 to 1.
1,000 British soldiers swarmed around me. Wayne slipped out of Haddonfield before the British Army arrived. The Cooper brothers weren't as lucky.
I make no doubt you have heard of me and Joseph Cooper being taken prisoners to Haddonfield. There, put in the guardhouse, kept one night and almost 2 days, and our wives never knew where we was gone till just before we came home. We had 200 men with us the whole time.
It is unknown why the Cooper brothers were arrested, but Samuel Cooper was apprehended at least once during the war for having a spyglass.
We're citizens. Move!
When Sterling landed with his command, his orders were to have a go at General Wayne, bring him to combat, capture or kill him. They marched inland about 6 miles to Haddonfield, and then immediately the British soldiers began turning to foraging rather than seeking out combat.
Anthony Wayne then moved toward Mount Holly and sent for Brigadier General Casimir Pulaski for reinforcements.
Together they advanced on Haddonfield. The advance was so aggressive, in part because of Pulaski charging, it caused the British to drop all of the supplies that they had gathered and to fall back on Cooper's Ferry.
British troops took refuge in my barn, only to accidentally torch it. I escaped the flames. This time. At the ferry crossing once located near Cooper's Point Waterfront Park, British troops prepared to cross the river back to Philadelphia.
As the British withdrew to their waiting barges, boats, other transports at Cooper's Ferry, Wayne observed it. Because his orders were not to bring on a major combat, he decided to develop the situation. He wanted to help them move along a little bit faster. He sent out skirmishers to advance slowly to see how the British would react.
Troops lined up in what is now downtown Camden.
Pulaski entered yet again and fell back on his sole course of action, which was to charge. Colonel Ellis's New Jersey militiamen appeared on the opposite side of Cooper Creek, and they began opening a fire on the Queen's American Rangers.
As Pulaski waved his sword over his head, a British Queen's Ranger yelled,
You're a brave fellow, but you must go away!
Pulaski's horse was shot. Outnumbered, Wayne withdrew.
The skirmishing was pretty inconclusive. The main thing that it accomplished was to buy the British breathing space. It gave them time to withdraw to Philadelphia safely. Cooper's Ferry was the locus of tremendous movement and significant action by both armies in the foraging operation.
Sometime after the skirmish, Wayne traveled northward, crossed the Delaware, and delivered the cattle and other forage supplies to the camp at Valley Forge.
After we came home, you would scarce know the point. My loss is great. Yours is more than you will expect. Joseph Cooper is more than both of us. P.S. I had like to forget to mention they're burning Joseph Cooper's barn. Samuel Cooper, March 5th, 1778.
Joseph and Samuel Cooper survived the war. For 278 years, I saw Cooper's Ferry grow into Camden. In 2012, vandals struck. But still I stand at a new crossroad.
Places like the American Revolution Museum of Southern New Jersey are important to remember our collective past. They're also important for helping communities thrive.
My grounds will be adapted into a public trail and community open space. As the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence approaches, the museum will drive tourism into Camden and the region, taking advantage of events like the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Philadelphia to welcome visitors. The museum will examine the promise of the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal, and the struggle for equality to the present day. When visitors cross my threshold, they will experience a place to remember all the people and places of South Jersey's rebellion.